How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, to talk about the MLB All-Star Game and give you my thoughts on what transpired on Tuesday. And I will say, it was one of the best All-Star games that Major League Baseball has had in a while. Not just from the game, but from things that went on within the game as well, especially the tribute to Hank Aaron late in the game. That was amazing to watch. I've always said it. I feel like baseball has the best All-Star game because, the stars go, and it's hard to not try in the All-Star game for baseball. Now, you could make the argument hockey is the best, especially with what they introduced with the Four Nations tournament, and we'll get into something that baseball should do in this episode as well. But the main thing that I wanted to touch upon is what transpired after the game completed 9 innings. So it was the first time that we ever saw this. I honestly forgot about it because I didn't expect it to happen. Number one, but Major League Baseball in their CBA that will end after 2026, and Players Association and the owners have to come to another agreement, which it doesn't look like it's going to go as well as it did the last time, even though last time got ugly too, but it might get uglier this time around when the Players Association and the owners meet to try to, agree on a new CBA, and it could potentially mean no season in 2027, but that's down the line. But in the current CBA, rather than going into extra innings with the All-Star game, there was going to be a swing-off. And that's what ended up happening. There was a swing-off. You had 3 players from the American League, and you had 3 players from the National League. Now, they were predetermined prior to the All-Star game, which many people reacted to the swing-off once it ended, and many people were saying, well, why didn't this player participate in it? Why wasn't this player doing it? It was already determined. So the National League ended up winning. Now, they were up 6-0 in the All-Star game. So it looked like this All-Star game was going to be a blowout. I mean, I talked about this on a prior episode. The National League, I think it was in 2012, they blew out the American League. But the American League typically wins, and I expected the National League to win just because I thought the lineup was more complete. I liked their lineup going in. I thought it was a deeper roster than the American League. And usually it's vice versa. Usually the American League is the better roster. But I thought this time around the National League was going to win. Now, I thought they were going to win within the 9 innings, but we had to go to a swing-off. American League came back. We saw, some long balls. We saw from Pete Alonso and Corbin Carroll. Brent Rooker hit a home run as well, and he did pretty well in the home run derby and ended up, he got hosed in the home run derby, but hit a home run in the All-Star game, and then he also hit a couple of home runs in the swing-off as well. But the American League came back. You had a great at-bat from Stephen Kwan that ended up scoring the tying run, and it was, tied at 6, and then the National League went down in the bottom of the 9th inning, so we got to the swing-off. So the American League chose Brent Rooker, Randy Arozarena, and Jonathan Aranda. The National League chose Pete Alonso. Well, Pete Alonso ended up going last, but they had to pick Kyle Stowers because it was going to be Eugenio Suarez, but he got hit by a pitch. So Yankee fans and whoever is trying to get Suarez were holding their breath because, he's going to be, a big trade target at the trade deadline. But he ended up staying in the game. So they had to replace him with Kyle Stowers of the Miami Marlins. Then you had Kyle Schwarber and then Pete Alonso. So I'm sitting there thinking, prior to the announcement of who's going to be participating in the swing-off, I'm sitting there going, hey, Aaron Judge doesn't want to do the home run derby anymore. Unless it's eventually going to be at Yankee Stadium again, which I hope it will be before he retires. Next year it's going to be at Citizens Bank Park. But I'm hoping that at some point it's back at Yankee Stadium so Aaron Judge does participate in the home run derby. But I'm sitting there going, all right, if each player from each team is only getting 3 swings, maybe Judge will do it. So I was getting really excited over it. And then when Aaron Boone announces who is going to be doing the swing off for the American League, I was disappointed. And then you think that, maybe Ohtani's going to do it for the National League, but it ends up being Kyle Stowers. Now, Kyle Stowers ends up hitting a home run in the swing off. And then, we see Kyle Schwarber do his thing, and he was unbelievable in the swing off, of course. He was the reason that they ended up winning. But I was definitely disappointed with who the American League had. So Brent Rooker gets up there. He hits a couple of home runs. So AL's up 2-0. Kyle Stowers hits a home run, so it's 2-1. Arozarena hits one. That makes it 3-1. Kyle Schwarber comes up, and on his 3 swings, they're all home runs. So now it comes down to Jonathan Aranda of the Tampa Bay Rays. And he's had a good year. Deserves to be an all-star, but, we don't look at him as a premier home run hitter in baseball. And he unfortunately ends up hitting one just shy of being a home run. And then his last swing, ends up being, a fly out, to like left center or wherever it was. And the National League ended up winning. And I was disappointed because I was also disappointed in this other respect because I wanted to see Pete Alonso go up there and hit. And if it wasn't for the swing off, Pete Alonso probably wins the MVP. If the National League wins in the 9th inning, if the American League doesn't come back, Pete Alonso should have won the MVP. He hit the 3-run homer. That was huge in the game. But the American League came back, to their credit. And then Kyle Schwarber just stole the show with the swing off. And Jonathan Aranda couldn't hit one out, and Pete Alonso didn't get the hit. I felt like we were kind of robbed of that, to see Pete Alonso go up there and try to win the All-Star game for the National League. And this is coming from a Yankee fan. Look, this is me being a baseball fan, saying, hey, I want to see Pete Alonso go up there and swing the bat. But we didn't get to see that. And all over social media, everybody is killing Aaron Boone. Oh, how could he do this? This is unbelievable. Now I understand why Yankee fans can't stand him. And I knew, because I forgot about the swing off. I thought we were going to go in extra innings. So if that was the case, I'm like, well, if the American League ends up losing in extra innings, everybody's going to be all over Boone for him mismanaging the bullpen. Well, they are blaming Aaron Boone because he mismanaged the swing off. I don't think it's not on Boone. Now, I think you could have chosen other players that would have been better suited for the swing off. Why wasn't Cal Raleigh, who won the home run derby, why wasn't he a participant in this? He's leading the league in homers. How is Cal Raleigh not participating in this? And then we find out later that other players left. Aaron Judge left. Shohei Ohtani left. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. left. The participants for the swing-off were predetermined also because of other players having travel plans. Now, I'm with people on social media, well, where is Aaron Judge going? Because the Yankees open up the second half in Atlanta. And I also was like, players leave early. I didn't realize that because I recently watched the 2008 All-Star game. And that game went 15 innings. Derek Jeter was still there. Derek Jeter didn't leave. Now, you could also say, well, it's in New York. That was at Yankee Stadium. Where does he have to go? But A-Rod, who was also in that All-Star game, he left, and many people were upset that he left. But I always thought, hey, you get taken out of the game, but you're still there, right? Where are you in a rush to? Well, I guess, it's the All-Star break. You want to, go spend time with your family, your friends, whatever you want to do. But I just always assumed that everybody stays. So, yeah, you had guys leave. And because of that, they couldn't participate in this. But I feel like, yes, the swing off, I think, was successful. And I think that should continue to be the norm with the All-Star game. But I think we were robbed of it being extra special because you didn't have the best of the best participating in the swing off. Because you could have had Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You could have did that. And there was also some other players you could have chosen. Like Byron Buxton was still there. He participated in the home run derby. Bobby Witt Jr. There were other guys you could have went to. And I don't want to knock Jonathan Aranda. He deserves to be an all-star. But this was such a great idea. You could have really capitalized on this if you had the best of the best. And then on the other side, like Schwarber and Alonso, good. Kyle Stowers, hey, give him credit. He hit a home run. But you could have had Ohtani. You could have had Ohtani in there. So, as great as it was, it definitely left me wanting more from it. Because, I mean, for New Yorkers, like, imagine if it came down to Aaron Judge versus Pete Alonso to win the All-Star game. Or it came down to Judge and Ohtani. Whatever the combination you want to put. It would have been awesome. But we didn't get that. We did not get that. And like I said, we got robbed of seeing Pete Alonso hit. I wanted to see Pete hit. I did. And look, I don't know what could have happened behind closed doors. Like, did Boone talk to the guys and say, hey, if it gets to a swing off, are you in or are you out? Because, again, Judge has been very vocal. He's not doing a home run derby, like I said, unless it's at Yankee Stadium. He was also asked about it again. And he said, look, this is an opportunity for other players to show off their talent. I already did the home run derby. So, I don't know, it's 3 swings. Like, I know Judge, his swing maybe got messed up from when he did the home run derby previously. But, 3 swings is 3 swings. How much damage is that really going to do? I would have loved to have seen it be the best of the best. But maybe down the line, if it happens again, then maybe we get to see the best of the best. But I did like it. Because it did create that drama. The fans were into it. The players are into it. For some of the older fans, they're saying like that's not baseball. And I don't disagree with that. I think it's fine for the All-Star game. But if you want to try to implement this into regular season games, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Do I think that would be better than the Manfred Man? I guess. I think it should just be you keep playing. But you want to prevent injuries to pitchers and overworking pitchers. So, what you could do is maybe you have like a hybrid type thing where you have teams play, the 9 innings. But if you go into extra innings, you play, a couple of extra innings. You go to like the 11th or the 12th inning, right? Then, once you get past the 11th or the 12th inning, then you go to a swing off. So kind of like how they do it in hockey, where you have an overtime period and then, you'll go into a shootout. You do something like that. I don't think that should be in the postseason. If you want to implement it into the regular season, I think that's how I would do it. But would I want that in regular season games? No. I like it for the All-Star game, and that's probably it. But if they were to implement it, that's how I would do it. I wouldn't do you just go through the 9 innings and then you go to a swing off. No, do 9 innings, do a couple of extra innings, and then you do a swing off. I think that's how it should be. That's my opinion at least. So, and then you try to, then there's a strategy. What hitters do you send up there? So, and the other thing too with the home run derby, I don't think the home run derby was necessarily bad, but I think there needs to be a year where, like I said, you need the best of the best. I think you need to, like, if it's back at Yankee Stadium, you got to have Judge, you got to have Ohtani. If Alonso re-signs with the Mets, you got to get Alonso. You throw Soto in there, because Soto won it before. Vlad needs to do it. I think you get the winners from, like, the last, 7 or 8 years. and it's like the ultimate home run derby. Cal Raleigh, who just won it this year, put all of them in it, do a home run derby like that with the past champions. Because there's a lot of them that are still playing. Bryce Harper is still playing. I mean, I don't know if he's trying to do it, but you know what I mean? I would love that. I don't think we'll get that because, that does take away from some of the other guys that are up and coming that, you want to see perform. But, I mean, that would be exciting. But there's no reason with the swing off. There's no reason why everybody wasn't there. But the other thing, too, is, we didn't expect it. We didn't expect that to happen. So, the players left. I mean, look, it was 6-0. It didn't look like the American League was going to come back. But they did. They came back. And that's how we got to that point. And that's why everybody is destroying Aaron Boone. Everyone's saying, where was Ohtani? Where was Judge? Where was Vlad? Where were these guys? Why is Cal Raleigh not participating? Like, what's going on? That's why we got to this point. Now, anybody that's just, blasting Aaron Boone for this, I mean, come on. Anything he does, I get it. But, I mean, it's the All-Star game. The All-Star game doesn't mean anything. You know what it means for? It means for the players. You win, you get a bonus, right? It's not like it used to be. It's not like the old days where it determined who had home field advantage in the World Series. This All-Star game doesn't have that meaning anymore. Yeah, I mean, I guess, if you're a fan of an American League team, you want the American League to win. And if you're a fan of the National League, of a National League team, you want the National League to win. You want bragging rights. That's what you want. So when when you lose, you don't get that. So now you turn all your focus to Aaron Boone, saying, how are you choosing these guys? I don't know. I would really like to know were the top guys approached to this and said, hey, if this happens, are you in? And what'd they say? Because I mean, I could picture Judge saying, well, I want maybe one of the other guys is more interested in doing it. Like the answer that he gave when he met with the media about the home run derby. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem. I would love to see Judge hit in that spot. I know we get this, we get to see, if you're a Yankee fan, you get to see him hit all the time. But, for some other people that, only get to see him, once a year, if you're a fan of a National League team, I mean, you want to see the stars. And we didn't necessarily get that. Swing off was good, but it could have been better. I don't think it should be implemented in the regular season. I don't. I told you how it should be. If it does, you play a few extra innings and then you go to it. But that's how I would do it. I think they should get rid of the man for man entirely. But that's a story for another day. So overall, though, it was a good All-Star game. It could have been better. It was one of the better All-Star games we had in a while. We got to see the ABS system implemented, and I can't wait for that next year because we need that. We really need that for baseball. Because some of these calls that these umpires make, not even close. And that's how the top of the ninth inning ended, because Edwin Diaz challenged a call, and he ended up being right. And that's how the top of the ninth ended. Striking out a Rosarena. So, yeah, there's a lot to take away from this All-Star game. It was a great night for baseball. And the second half begins tomorrow. Baseball is back tomorrow, and this will be for the final 2.5 months. So, get ready. Looking forward to that. Yankees open up in Atlanta to take on the Braves. And how about the Braves? I mean, it's injuries. I wouldn't. Last year was disappointing. You thought they were going to bounce back. They did not. They did not. They are now currently 12.5 games back of the Phillies for first in the NL East. Yeah, and could they sell? We'll see. Trade deadline's coming up as well. I will be on vacation for it. So next week we'll have shows. But yeah, the following week I will be away. So you won't be getting that much content from me, if any. But we'll be back the following week after that. We'll be in August. So just wanted to make you guys aware of that. But let me know what you guys think about the All-Star game. What were your takeaways from it? Let me know in the comments. And also make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the videos channel. We appreciate that. Make sure to follow us on all the social media accounts in the description on this video down below. And wherever you get your podcasts, you can listen to us as well. Just look up Infinite Sports. And as always, everybody, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off. Have a good one, and I will talk to you guys next time. Take care.